You see them every single day, on buildings you walk past, on money in your wallet, on logos of companies you trust, symbols, Masonic symbols, hidden in plain sight, marking everything. The all-seeing eye on your dollar bill, the pyramid that's never finished, the compass and square carved into your courthouse, the geometric logos on every product you buy. They're not decorations, they're declarations. Proof that Freemasons shaped the world you live in, built your government buildings, designed your currency, influenced the brands you see everywhere. Washington, D.C. is a Masonic temple. Every street, every monument, every symbol, placed intentionally, designed carefully, announcing who really built America. The Capitol cornerstone laid by George Washington in full Masonic regalia. The Supreme Court covered in their symbols. Every dollar bill carrying the eye that watches, corporate logos using their sacred geometry. These aren't coincidences. These are signatures, permanent records of power and influence. But here's what I want to ask you. Now that you know what to look for, how many Masonic symbols will you see today before you even leave your house? Most people walk past them every day without noticing. Symbols carved into buildings, etched into monuments, hidden in plain sight across every major city in America. They're not accidents, they're not decorations, they're markers, signs left by Freemasons to show their influence, their presence, their power. And once you learn to recognize them, you'll see them everywhere. On courthouses, libraries, banks, government buildings, even churches. The symbols are there, waiting, watching, telling a story most people never hear. The compass and square is the most obvious. Two tools overlapping, sometimes with a letter G in the center. You'll find it on building cornerstones, carved above doorways, pressed into metal plaques. It marks buildings constructed by Masons or funded by Masonic lodges. In Washington, D.C. alone, there are over 40 major buildings with this symbol visible from the street. The Supreme Court, the Library of Congress, Union Station, the Scottish Rite Temple, all marked. All connected to Masonic influence during construction. But the compass and square is just the beginning. The all-seeing eye appears everywhere, not just on the dollar bill. Look at city halls, state capitals, university buildings. The eye sits in triangles, watches from pediments, stares down from domed ceilings. It represents divine providence, watchfulness, knowledge, but it also represents something else, surveillance, the idea that someone is always watching, always knowing, always remembering. The Masons who placed these symbols wanted future generations to understand. They were here, they built this, they control this. The pyramid shows up constantly too. Unfinished pyramids, pyramids with capstones, pyramids standing alone or surrounded by other symbols. Ancient Egypt fascinates Freemasons. They borrowed heavily from Egyptian mysticism, Egyptian architecture, Egyptian symbolism, so pyramids appear on buildings, on monuments, on seals and logos. The Washington Monument is an obelisk, an Egyptian symbol, over 500 feet tall, standing at the center of the nation's capital. Impossible to miss, impossible to ignore. A massive Masonic marker visible for miles. The number 3 appears obsessively. 3 pillars, 3 steps, 3 degrees, 3 knocks. Masonic ritual revolves around the number 3, so buildings designed by Masons incorporate it. 3 windows, 3 doors, 3 columns, 3 architectural tiers. Look at any old courthouse or government building. Count the windows, count the columns. Notice how often they come in groups of 3. It's not coincidence. It's design, intentional, meaningful. A code hidden in architecture. Columns themselves are deeply Masonic, particularly 2 specific styles, Jachin and Boaz, named after the pillars that stood at Solomon's temple. Freemasons reference these constantly, so Masonic buildings feature prominent columns, usually 2 at the entrance, tall, imposing, symbolic. They represent strength and establishment, the pillars that hold up civilization, the pillars that separate the initiated from the uninitiated. Walk through any city's historic district. Notice how many important buildings have exactly two prominent columns flanking the main entrance. The square and level appear less obviously, not as images but as concepts, buildings designed with perfect right angles, perfect symmetry, perfect balance. This reflects Masonic obsession with geometry, with order, with precision. Freemasonry teaches that morality and mathematics are connected, that building straight walls reflects building straight character. So Masonic architects designed buildings that embodied these principles: perfect proportions, geometric harmony, mathematical precision, beauty through order. Corn, wine, and oil symbols appear on agricultural buildings and state seals. These represent plenty, nourishment, the fruits of labor. In Masonic ritual, they're offerings, sacrifices, symbols of commitment. So state capitals, grain exchanges, agricultural departments, they feature wheat sheaves, grape clusters, oil lamps. Most people see them as generic farm imagery, but they're specific, intentional, Masonic markers showing the Brotherhood's influence over food, over resources, over the sustenance of the nation. The beehive appears constantly too, representing industry, community, organized labor. Bees work together, build together, serve their queen. The hive represents ideal society in Masonic thought, everyone with a role, everyone contributing, everyone serving the greater structure. So beehives appear on bank buildings, on government seals, on university crests, sometimes realistic, sometimes stylized, but always there, always marking Masonic influence over institutions that organize human activity. Stars arranged in specific patterns show up everywhere. 5-pointed stars, 6-pointed stars, star circles, pentagrams, the Eastern Star symbol. Stars represent divine light, heavenly guidance, navigation. Masons used stars in rituals and regalia, so they appear on buildings, sometimes subtly worked into decorative friezes, sometimes boldly displayed on flags and seals. The 50 stars on the American flag aren't just states, they're also stars, light, guidance, Masonic symbolism layered into national identity. Book and torch combinations mark libraries and educational buildings. The book represents knowledge, sacred texts, wisdom passed down. The torch represents enlightenment, illumination, bringing light to darkness. Together, they're deeply Masonic, the pursuit of knowledge, the illumination of the mind. So libraries built in the 19th and early 20th centuries feature these symbols prominently. Carved into facades, cast into metalwork, displayed in murals, announcing that this place serves Masonic ideals. That knowledge and enlightenment happen here under the Brotherhood's influence. The letter G appears alone sometimes. Just the letter, carved, displayed, hanging. In Masonic symbolism, G means different things: geometry, God, gnosis, the generative principle. It's deliberately ambiguous, multifaceted, so buildings feature prominent G letters, sometimes in obvious places, sometimes hidden in decorative elements, sometimes worked into monograms or architectural details. Once you know to look for it, you see it constantly. A single letter carrying enormous symbolic weight. Chains and linked rings represent brotherhood, unity, unbreakable bonds. The mystic tie that connects all Masons regardless of rank or location. So these symbols appear on fraternal organization buildings, on monuments, on commemorative plaques, chains wrapped around pillars, rings interlocked in endless patterns. They announce that this place belongs to men bound by oaths, by secrets, by loyalty that transcends normal social connections. The acacia plant shows up in unexpected places, carved into woodwork, painted in murals, featured in architectural ornamentation. In Masonic tradition, acacia represents immortality, the soul's survival after death. It's the plant that grew on Hiram Abiff's grave in Masonic legend, so it marks Masonic buildings, Masonic cemeteries, places where Masons want to signal their belief in something beyond this life, in continuation, in the eternal nature of the brotherhood. Checkered floors appear constantly, black and white tiles, alternating squares. The Masonic lodge floor is always checkered. It represents duality, light and darkness, good and evil, material and spiritual, choice. So buildings with Masonic connections feature checkered patterns, in lobbies, on front steps, in ceremonial spaces, sometimes literal tile work, sometimes decorative patterns in stone or paint, but always the same basic design, black, white, alternating, endless. Tools appear everywhere. Hammers, chisels, plumb bobs, levels. These are working tools in Masonic ritual, each teaching a moral lesson. So they appear carved into buildings, worked into metalwork, featured in relief sculptures, telling anyone who understands that this building was created with Masonic principles, built with Masonic tools, constructed by men who understood the symbolic meaning of their labor, who saw building as more than just construction, who saw it as moral work. Once you start seeing these symbols, you can't stop. They're on post offices, police stations, fire departments, schools, hospitals, theaters, train stations. Anywhere power concentrated, anywhere decisions got made, anywhere communities gathered, the Masons left their mark, sometimes boldly, sometimes subtly, but always intentionally. These weren't accidents. These were declarations, announcements, proof of presence, proof of influence, proof that the brotherhood shaped the physical world, that they built the places where society happened, and that they wanted future generations to know, to see, to understand. The symbols aren't hidden, they're in plain sight. We just stopped reading them, stopped understanding the language, stopped seeing what was always there, waiting to be noticed, waiting to tell their story, the story of who really built America and why they marked everything they touched. Washington, D.C. is a Masonic museum. The entire city is a statement, a declaration carved in marble and granite, designed by Freemasons, built by Freemasons, laid out according to Masonic principles. The street plan itself forms symbols. L'Enfant, who designed the city, was connected to Masonic lodges. The layout features diagonal avenues cutting through a grid, creating triangles, pentagrams, geometric patterns visible only from above. Some researchers claim the streets form a massive compass and square when viewed on a map. Others see inverted pentagrams, occult geometry. Whether intentional or coincidental, the symbolism is there, undeniable once you see it. The Capitol building cornerstone was laid in 1793 by George Washington himself. He wore full Masonic regalia, apron, sash, jewels. The ceremony was entirely Masonic, not Christian, not governmental, Masonic. Corn, wine and oil were poured on the cornerstone according to ancient ritual. The Masonic Lodge officiated. Hundreds of brothers attended. This wasn't subtle. This was public declaration that Freemasons were building the seat of American government, that their principles would guide the nation, that their symbols would mark the building forever. Inside the Capitol, Masonic imagery covers every surface. The apotheosis of Washington on the rotunda ceiling shows George Washington ascending to godhood, surrounded by 13 maidens representing the original colonies. Pagan imagery, deification of a founding father, deeply symbolic, deeply Masonic. The number 13 appears constantly. 13 stars, 13 stripes, 13 arrows, 13 olive branches. Masonic obsession with numerology embedded in national symbolism. Every relief sculpture, every painting, every architectural detail. Layers of meaning for those trained to see it. The Supreme Court building is covered in Masonic symbols. The main entrance features massive columns, exactly like a Masonic temple. The pediment shows justice sitting between law and authority, but the figures around her carry Masonic symbols, scales, tablets, torches, books. The interior features more: checkered floor patterns, geometric ceiling designs, symbol-heavy murals. The building opened in 1935, peak period of Masonic influence in American architecture. The architect, Cass Gilbert, designed it to impress, to intimidate, to announce that justice in America rests on foundations the Masons helped lay. The Library of Congress, Neptune fountain outside, shows the god of the sea surrounded by turtles and frogs. Masonic water symbolism, purification, wisdom emerging from chaos. Inside, the main reading room features a dome with symbols from all major religions and philosophies, including prominent Masonic imagery, the torch of learning, the all-seeing eye, geometric patterns, books, symbols of enlightenment everywhere. The message is clear: knowledge is power, and Freemasons control access to knowledge. Guard it, distribute it, decide who becomes enlightened. The Washington Monument is the most obvious Masonic marker in America, a 555-foot Egyptian obelisk, ancient phallic symbol representing generative power, creative force, male energy. The cornerstone was laid in another Masonic ceremony in 1848. Same ritual: corn, wine, and oil, full regalia, public declaration. The monument includes a pyramidion capstone made of aluminum. At the time, aluminum was precious, rare, almost as valuable as silver. The pyramid at the top represents completion, achievement, the unfinished becoming finished, the capstone placed by divine hand, pure Masonic symbolism made massive and permanent. The Scottish Rite Temple in Washington, D.C. doesn't hide anything. It's openly, aggressively Masonic, designed to look like an ancient temple. Columns, sphinxes, Egyptian motifs everywhere. Inside are ritual rooms decorated with symbols from various Masonic degrees. Elaborate, expensive, impressive. This building announces itself, doesn't pretend, shows exactly what Masonic architecture looks like when it's not trying to blend in, when it's making a statement, asserting presence, claiming territory. The building sits on 16th Street, prominent location, impossible to miss, that's the point. But Washington, D.C. is just the beginning. Every state capital features similar symbolism. The Pennsylvania state capital in Harrisburg is covered in Masonic markers. The architect was Joseph Houston. Not openly Masonic, but deeply influenced by Masonic design principles. The building features exactly 33 columns across the main entrance, 33 degrees in Scottish Rite masonry. Coincidence? The rotunda features a massive dome. At the center, a painting of Pennsylvania's founding, surrounded by geometric patterns, symbolic figures, light radiating from a central point, classic Masonic imagery of enlightenment spreading outward. The Minnesota state capitol features more. The architect, Cass Gilbert again, incorporated Masonic principles throughout. The building sits on a hill, elevated, separate from the common city below. Approaching it requires climbing steps, ascending, rising toward enlightenment. The entrance features quadriga sculptures, 4 horses, ancient Roman symbolism of power and authority. Inside, the rotunda features a star at the center of the floor, 8-pointed, compass rose, navigation, guidance, finding true north, Masonic obsession with orientation, with knowing your place in the cosmic order. The Texas state capitol in Austin features the goddess of liberty on top, a statue holding a sword and the 5-pointed star of Texas. She faces north, watching, guarding. The all-seeing principle made manifest. Inside the building are portraits of Sam Houston and Stephen F. Austin, both Freemasons, both founding fathers of Texas. Their Masonic affiliations are documented, celebrated, not hidden. The building itself features geometric precision, perfect symmetry, mathematical harmony, everything the Masons value in architecture, everything they teach about building character through building structures. City halls across America show similar patterns. The Philadelphia City Hall features William Penn on top. Penn wasn't a Mason, but his statue stands on a Masonic building. Below him, the clock tower features exactly 37 bells. Prime number, Masonic numerology. The building's cornerstone was laid in 1874 with full Masonic ceremony. The mayor, the governor, hundreds of brothers in regalia. Public ritual, public declaration. This building belongs to us. This city was built by us. Remember that every time you look up. The San Francisco City Hall was rebuilt after the 1906 earthquake. The architect, Arthur Brown Jr., designed it in Beaux-Arts style, but with Masonic touches throughout. The dome is modeled after St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, but scaled to be exactly 16 feet taller than the Capitol in Washington, D.C., statement of pride, of independence, of Western power. The interior features a grand staircase with exactly 42 steps, another numerologically significant number in Masonic tradition. The landings feature symbols, stars, torches, books, all carved into marble, all permanent, all announcing who really runs this city. Banks might be the most symbolically dense buildings. Early American banks were funded by Masons, run by Masons, designed to reflect Masonic values. The old Federal Reserve buildings in major cities feature classical architecture, columns, pediments, geometric precision. They look like Greek temples because that's what Masons wanted. They wanted financial power housed in buildings that invoked ancient wisdom, ancient authority, ancient mystery. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York features a massive rotunda with checkered floor, columns at the corners, geometric ceiling design. Banking is ritual, money is sacred. These buildings announce that. College campuses are covered in Masonic symbolism. Yale University's most famous building is the Sterling Memorial Library. Gothic architecture but filled with Masonic touches. The main reading room features wood carved with symbols, owls, books, torches, ladders ascending, knowledge as enlightenment, learning as initiation. The building literally looks like a cathedral. Education is religious, sacred, transformative. That's Masonic philosophy embedded in stone and wood and glass. Harvard's Widener Library features a Masonic cornerstone. Laid with ceremony in 1913, the building features classical columns, symmetrical design, geometric harmony. The interior features a grand staircase ascending to knowledge, literally climbing toward enlightenment. This isn't subtle metaphor. This is architectural teaching, physical space designed to reinforce Masonic philosophy. That wisdom must be earned. That knowledge requires initiation. That not everyone can access the highest truths. Masonic temples themselves don't hide. Every mid-sized American city has one, usually downtown, usually prominent, usually old and beautiful. These buildings announce themselves. Masonic temple written right on the facade. They feature all the obvious symbols, compass and square, all-seeing eye, columns, checkered floors, but they're not where the real symbolism hides. The real power is in marking other buildings, government buildings, financial buildings, educational buildings. That's where the influence shows. That's where the symbols matter most. Courthouses deserve special attention. Local courthouses in small towns across America feature Masonic cornerstones, placed with ceremony. Documented in local newspapers, these buildings literally sit on Masonic foundations. Justice administered in buildings blessed by Masonic ritual. Does that influence the justice? The Masons would say no, would say the symbols just represent values, fairness, balance, truth. But symbols have power, psychological power. They remind everyone who enters. This building was built by men with secrets, with oaths, with loyalties beyond the law itself. Post offices from the 1930s and 1940s feature New Deal murals, many painted by artists with Masonic connections. The murals show idealized American scenes, farmers, workers, families. But look closer. Notice the geometric composition. The symbolic use of light, the way figures are arranged in triangles, in groups of three, the way the paintings guide the eye upward, toward light, toward the future, toward enlightenment. Subtle, but there. Masonic principles of design applied to public art, teaching lessons to people who never realize they're being taught. Train stations are gold mines of symbolism. Grand Central Terminal in New York features a ceiling painted with constellations, stars, cosmic order, navigation by heavenly bodies, Masonic obsession with astronomy, with knowing your place in the universe. The main concourse features exactly 44 staircases, numerology again. The building's architecture creates perfect acoustic zones, whispering galleries where sound behaves strangely, almost magically, reinforcing the sense that this building is special, different, built according to principles most people don't understand. Union Station in Washington, D.C. features Masonic imagery throughout. The architect was Daniel Burnham. The building opened in 1907, peak American Masonic influence. The main hall features a barrel-vaulted ceiling with geometric coffers, exact mathematical precision. The floor is Tennessee marble, light pink, beautiful. The space feels sacred, cathedral-like, because it's designed that way. Travel is pilgrimage. Movement is transformation. Union Station processes millions of travelers, all of them passing through Masonic space, all of them touched by Masonic design, whether they know it or not. These buildings aren't accidents, they're declarations, permanent records of who held power when America was being built. The symbols mark territory, announce influence, remind future generations that Freemasons shaped this nation, built its institutions, designed its spaces, and they wanted everyone to know, not through words, through symbols, through architecture, through the physical world itself. The buildings speak, they tell stories, they announce allegiances. All you have to do is learn the language, learn to read the symbols, and suddenly the hidden becomes obvious, the secret becomes plain. And you realize you've been walking through Masonic space your entire life. You just never knew how to see it. The dollar bill is a Masonic document. That's not conspiracy theory. That's documented history. The Great Seal of the United States appears on the back, two sides, two circular designs, both loaded with Masonic symbolism. The designers weren't hiding it, they were announcing it, declaring through currency that Masonic principles backed American money, American power, American identity. Every transaction, every purchase, every exchange, Masonic symbols changing hands millions of times daily. Hidden in plain sight on the most common object in American life, the reverse side shows the pyramid, unfinished. 13 layers of stone, floating capstone with the all-seeing eye above it. The Latin phrase, annuit coeptis, means he approves our undertakings. Who is he? The eye, divine providence, or the grand architect, Masonic term for God. The unfinished pyramid represents America itself. Incomplete, still building, still rising. The floating capstone represents the final stone, the completion that comes when divine will and human work unite. Pure Masonic philosophy. The great work unfinished until the master's hand places the final stone. Below the pyramid, another Latin phrase, Novus Ordo Seclorum, new order of the ages. Not new world order exactly, but close enough to make people wonder. The phrase comes from Virgil, Roman poet, but filtered through Masonic interpretation. The idea that America represents a new beginning, a new chapter in human history, an experiment in enlightened governance, Masonic ideals made national, made foundational, made permanent, and announced on every dollar bill printed since 1935. The date at the pyramid's base reads MDCCLXCSIL, Roman numerals for 1776, the year of independence. but also the year Adam Weishaupt founded the Bavarian Illuminati. Conspiracy theorists love that connection. Whether intentional or coincidental, it's there. The number 1776 broken down. 1 plus 7 equals 8. 7 plus 6 equals 13. Numerology. Everywhere the number 13. The pyramid has 13 steps. The eagle on the other side holds 13 arrows, 13 leaves on the olive branch, 13 stars above, 13 stripes on the shield. Obsessive, intentional, meaningful. The eagle on the obverse side grips arrows in one talon, olive branch in the other, war and peace, balance, duality, Masonic obsession with opposites, with choosing between them, with holding both powers simultaneously. Above the eagle's head, 13 stars arranged in a hexagram. Star of David pattern, six-pointed star, seal of Solomon, deeply symbolic in Masonic tradition. Solomon's temple is central to Masonic ritual. His seal represents wisdom, power, divine authority, and it's right there, on the dollar, announcing connections to ancient mysticism, ancient knowledge, ancient power. The phrase "e pluribus unum" appears on a banner in the eagle's beak. Out of many one, unity from diversity, Masonic philosophy of brotherhood, men from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different stations, united by shared oaths, shared symbols, shared secrets, made one through initiation. The phrase could describe the states forming a union, but it also describes the lodge, many brothers, one brotherhood. The dual meaning is perfect. National motto and Masonic principle merged, inseparable, announced on every bill. The eagle faces the olive branch, toward peace. In early versions, the eagle faced the arrows, toward war. The change happened in 1945, after World War II. Symbolic shift, declaring American preference for peace, but the arrows remain, gripped tightly. 13 of them, still ready, still available. The duality remains, peace preferred but war possible, choice maintained, balance preserved, Masonic principle of prepared vigilance, strong enough for war, wise enough to choose peace. The all-seeing eye watches from the pyramid, literally watches. The pupil is visible, the eye is active, not sleeping, not closed, always vigilant, always aware. In Masonic lodges, the all-seeing eye appears on the eastern wall, watching brothers during ritual, reminding them that divine providence observes everything, knows everything, judges everything. On the dollar, the eye watches the nation, watches transactions, watches how people use money, use power, use the tools the founders provided. Whether you believe it's God or the Masons or both, the message is clear. Someone is always watching. Look at the $1 bill's front side. George Washington, first president, highest-ranking Freemason in early America. His portrait isn't accidental, isn't just historical. It's symbolic, the most prominent Mason on the most common currency, his face on billions of bills, touched by billions of hands, known by billions of people, most of whom don't know he was a Mason, don't know he laid Masonic cornerstones, don't know he led Masonic ceremonies. The symbol hides behind the history, the Masonic identity hidden behind the presidential identity. The pyramid and eye were added to currency in 1935. FDR made the decision. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 32nd degree Mason, Scottish Rite. He specifically ordered the Great Seal added to the dollar bill. Henry Wallace, his vice president, suggested it. Also a Mason, also 32nd degree. Two high-ranking Masons decided to put Masonic symbols on American currency during the Great Depression, during crisis, during uncertainty, announcing stability, announcing backing, announcing that Masonic principles supported the nation's economy, that Masonic power stood behind the money. Other denominations feature Masonic-connected presidents and founders. The $5 bill shows Abraham Lincoln, not a confirmed Mason, but deeply connected to Masonic circles, gave speeches at lodges, praised Masonic principles publicly. Some researchers claim he was initiated, but records were lost. Others say he applied but never completed the process. Either way, his connection is undeniable. The 10 shows Alexander Hamilton, confirmed Mason, founding father, first Treasury Secretary. The 20 shows Andrew Jackson, controversial president, confirmed Mason. The pattern continues across denominations. The $50 bill shows Ulysses S. Grant, 18th president, Civil War general. Not openly Masonic, but surrounded by Masons, his cabinet, his generals, his advisors. Many confirmed brothers. His military strategies discussed in Masonic lodges, his political career supported by Masonic networks. The $100 bill shows Benjamin Franklin, confirmed Mason, Grand Master of Pennsylvania, founding father, printer, scientist, diplomat. One of the most influential Masons in American history. His face on the highest common denomination, most valuable, most respected, most desired. Coins tell similar stories. The quarter shows George Washington. The dime showed Franklin Roosevelt until 1946, replaced with Roosevelt after his death. Both Masons, both presidents, both monumentalized in currency. The penny shows Lincoln. Again, the Masonic connection. The Jefferson nickel shows another founding father. Thomas Jefferson's Masonic status is debated. Some claim he was initiated. Others say he opposed secret societies. The evidence is mixed. But his connections to Masons are undeniable. His friends, his colleagues, his political allies, many confirmed brothers. The symbols on coins matter too. The eagle appears on most. Always facing, always watching, always gripping arrows and olive branches. The motto, "In God We Trust," added in 1864, during the Civil War. During national crisis, declaring divine backing, divine support, divine providence guiding the nation. Masonic language, Masonic philosophy, made national through currency, through the physical objects people touch daily, use daily, depend on daily. State quarters feature unique designs. Many include Masonic symbols. The Virginia quarter shows ships, 3 ships that brought settlers, but arranged in a triangle, 3 points. Masonic number. The Massachusetts quarter shows a Minuteman, but the composition, the way he's positioned, the geometric balance, subtle Masonic design principles. The New York quarter shows the Statue of Liberty, designed by Frederick Bartholdi, not confirmed Mason, but deeply connected to French Masonic traditions. The statue itself is loaded with Masonic symbolism: torch of enlightenment, crown of rays, broken chains, liberation, freedom through enlightenment. Masonic ideals made massive and permanent. Foreign currency features similar patterns. The British pound shows the Queen, but also features architectural elements, bridges, buildings, many designed during periods of heavy Masonic influence in British architecture. The euro shows bridges too, fictional bridges, representing connection, unity, crossing from one state to another. Masonic philosophy of brotherhood transcending boundaries. The symbols are subtler, less obvious, but the design principles remain: geometry, balance, symbolism embedded in everyday objects. Commemorative coins make the Masonic connection explicit sometimes. The George Washington 250th birthday coin from 1982 shows him in profile, but the reverse shows a symbol, an eagle, a presidential seal, geometric patterns. The Masonic Lafayette dollar from 1982 commemorates the French general, confirmed Mason, Revolutionary War hero. The coin announces his Masonic membership openly, not hidden, not subtle, celebrated. The Thomas Jefferson dollar coin series, same pattern, Masonic connections celebrated through official government currency. Credit cards and digital currency are changing this. Physical money is disappearing. The symbols are disappearing with it. Digital transactions don't carry images, don't feature pyramids or eagles or all-seeing eyes. The symbolic language is being lost, replaced by numbers, data, algorithms. Whether intentional or accidental, the shift is happening. Future generations won't handle dollar bills daily. won't see the symbols, won't ask questions. The Masonic fingerprints on American currency will become historical curiosity, museum exhibits, not lived experience, not daily reminder of who shaped the nation's money, who backed its value, who embedded their symbols into the most fundamental tool of commerce. But for now, the symbols remain. Millions of dollar bills in circulation, billions printed over decades, each one carrying the pyramid, the eye, the eagle, the Latin phrases, the numerological patterns, each one a tiny Masonic monument, a declaration, an announcement that Freemasons shaped this nation, backed its currency, supported its economy, and wanted everyone to know, through symbols, through design, through the physical money people touch and trust and trade every single day. The dollar bill speaks. It tells a story. It announces allegiance. All you have to do is look, really look, past the face value, past the numbers, into the symbols themselves, and suddenly the most common object in your wallet becomes evidence, proof, declaration, that the hidden has always been visible, the secret has always been public, and Masonic influence has always been literally in your hands. Every time you make a purchase, every time you check your wallet, every time you hold American currency, you're holding Masonic symbols, you're carrying their message. You're spreading their influence, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you care or not. The symbols are there, on the money, in the money, behind the money, announcing who really controls value in America, who has always controlled it, and who wants you to see their mark, even if you never understand what you're seeing. Corporate logos hide Masonic symbols everywhere. Major companies, brands you interact with daily, symbols embedded in their identities, some intentional, some coincidental. But the patterns are undeniable. Once you learn to recognize Masonic imagery, you see it in boardrooms, marketing campaigns, product designs. The same symbols that mark government buildings mark corporate headquarters. The same geometry that structures temples structures brand identities. The influence didn't stop at government. It spread into commerce, into capitalism, into every transaction you make. Start with the tech giants. The Apple logo is bitten fruit, knowledge, the forbidden fruit from Eden, but also enlightenment, forbidden knowledge consumed, shared, democratized. Steve Jobs wasn't a confirmed Mason, but he understood symbols, understood mythology, understood how images communicate deeper meanings. The bitten apple announces what Apple does, gives people access to knowledge, makes them bite the fruit, become enlightened. Whether Jobs intended Masonic connections or not, the symbolism aligns perfectly. Forbidden knowledge, light in darkness, tools for thinking different. Google's logo seems simple, colorful letters, but look at the design evolution. Early versions featured geometric precision, perfect circles, mathematical relationships. The colors follow patterns, primary colors, order, system. Google's original mission was organizing the world's information, making knowledge accessible, enlightenment through information, pure Masonic philosophy. The company's campus features architecture loaded with geometric design, open spaces, light-filled rooms, transparency. The physical Google represents Masonic ideals, knowledge for all, light conquering darkness. Microsoft's logo evolved from complex to simple. 4 squares, 4 colors. The square is deeply Masonic, perfect right angles, order, precision, building blocks, the window metaphor, looking through, seeing beyond, accessing what was hidden. Bill Gates isn't a confirmed Mason, but Microsoft's early culture reflected Masonic values, hierarchy, degrees of access, inner circles with special knowledge, Windows giving progressively deeper access, from user to power user to developer, levels of initiation into system knowledge. The CBSI logo is literally the all-seeing eye. Created in 1951 by William Golden, the eye stares, watches, Nose, originally designed to suggest television watching you as much as you watch it, but the symbolism is unmistakable. Central eye, always watching. CBS broadcasts reach millions. The eye watches through every television, through every screen. Modern surveillance symbolized, normalized, made friendly through design, but the core symbol remains. The Masonic all-seeing eye, watching, always watching. AOL's triangle logo from the 1990s featured the pyramid shape prominently, three sides rising toward a point. The triangle contained circular elements, geometry within geometry. The design changed over time, but the triangular structure remained for years. America Online promised connection, community, access to hidden knowledge of the early internet. The pyramid symbolized ascent, rising through levels, newbie to expert, initiation through experience. Pharmaceutical companies use Masonic symbols constantly. The caduceus staff appears everywhere, two serpents wrapped around a winged staff. Actually Hermes' staff, not Asclepius's proper medical symbol, but adopted anyway. Hermes is deeply important in esoteric traditions. Hermes Trismegistus, Hermetic philosophy, foundation of much Masonic mysticism. The symbol announces medical knowledge as secret knowledge, healing as enlightenment, doctors as initiated priests, pharmaceutical companies as gatekeepers of life-extending wisdom. Merck uses the Greek letter PSI in some branding, psychology, psychiatry, but also esoteric symbolism. The trident shape, three prongs, Trinity, Masonic obsession with three. Pfizer's logo evolved to feature a circular design, compass-like, directional, guiding. The blue color, trust, stability, wisdom. Color symbolism matters in Masonic tradition. Blue lodge, blue degrees, foundation levels. Trust established through color psychology. Banks and financial institutions are obvious. Chase Bank's octagon logo, 8 sides, 8 points, geometric perfection. The octagon appears in Masonic architecture. 8-sided rooms, 8-pointed stars, navigation, orientation, finding true direction. Chase promises to guide your financial journey. The octagon reinforces that metaphor. Bank of America's flag-inspired logo uses red and white stripes. 13 again, though officially representing the American flag, the number carries additional weight. Masonic numerology embedded in corporate identity. Citibank's umbrella logo, red arch, protection, coverage, but also the vault of heaven, the dome. Masonic lodges feature domed or arched ceilings, representing the celestial sphere, the cosmos above. Citibank promises protection under the arch, under the dome, safe harbor. The symbolism works on multiple levels, practical protection and cosmic order. The Wells Fargo stagecoach seems historically innocent, Western imagery, pioneer spirit, but look closer. 6 horses, 2 wheels visible. Geometric arrangement, movement from darkness to light, west toward enlightenment. The company's history ties to California gold rush, 49ers seeking fortune, seeking transformation through wealth. The stagecoach represents journey, initiation through travel, arriving changed from where you started. Energy companies use obvious symbolism. Chevron's 2 stripes form a V, pointing upward, ascending, but also resembling a Masonic jewel worn around the neck. The angle. The geometry, whether intentional or not, the resemblance is there. Shell's shell symbol, spiral, golden ratio, mathematical perfection found in nature. Masonic obsession with natural geometry, sacred geometry, divine proportion made corporate logo. ExxonMobil separated from Standard Oil, the torch in their old Esso branding, Liberty Torch, Statue of Liberty, enlightenment, knowledge, light. Though now simplified, the historical connection to illumination symbols is clear. Marathon Petroleum uses an M design, but look at it, geometric, precise, angular, Masonic design principles applied, order, measurement, Proportion. Automotive logos feature compasses and circles constantly. Mercedes-Benz, three-pointed star. 3 points, Trinity. But also representing land, sea, air, complete dominion, total reach. Masonic ambition of universal brotherhood, universal influence. The circle around the star, perfection, unity, completion. BMW's circle, quartered into blue and white sections. The checkered pattern, Masonic lodge floor, duality, choice, balance, officially representing Bavarian flag colors, but the Masonic symbolism is undeniable. Chrysler's Pentastar logo, 5-pointed star, pentagram. Depending on orientation, either protective or inversive, Chrysler used upright orientation, protection, guidance, navigation by stars, the 5 points representing 5 brands under Chrysler at the time, but also 5-pointed Masonic symbolism, the blazing star, light in darkness, guidance through confusion, Dodge's ram horns, animal symbolism, but also Aries, first zodiac sign, beginnings, initiative. Masonic lodges incorporate zodiac symbolism, cosmic order, astrological wisdom. The ram represents strength but also position in celestial hierarchy. Toyota's 3 overlapping ovals, Trinity, again, 3. But also infinity symbol hidden in the design, eternal, unending. The circle represents the world, Toyota's global reach, Masonic ambition of worldwide influence. Food companies use plenty symbolism. Nabisco's triangle logo with cross, Christian symbolism officially, but the triangle is fundamental Masonic geometry, stability, trinity. The cross adds religious legitimacy, makes the triangle seem purely Christian, but the geometry remains. Procter & Gamble's old moon and stars logo created conspiracy theories for decades. 13 stars, crescent moon, facing direction. People claimed it proved satanic connections. P&G eventually changed it, but the original lasted over a century. Whether Masonic or not, the symbolic density was undeniable. Starbucks mermaid, siren, 2 tails, medieval imagery, but water symbolism is deeply Masonic. Purification, chaos to order, the crown on her head, royalty, authority, the circle around her, containment, protection, completion, coffee as enlightenment, caffeine as illumination, waking up, seeing clearly. The entire brand metaphor aligns with Enlightenment symbolism. Whether Starbucks intended it or not, the connections exist. McDonald's golden arches, 2 parabolas, perfect geometric curves, mathematics in architecture, but also resembling the letter M, but also resembling Egyptian architecture, gateway shapes, passage shapes. McDonald's promises passage from hunger to satisfaction, from need to fulfillment. The golden color, precious, valuable, alchemical, gold as perfected metal, perfected food service, the arches as gateway to transformation, fast food as modern ritual. Tech startups use geometric logos obsessively, triangles, circles, hexagons. Sacred geometry made trendy, made modern. Many founders don't know they're using Masonic symbolism, they just follow design trends. But those trends originated somewhere. Design schools teach principles that echo Masonic geometry, balance, proportion, golden ratio, sacred numbers. The knowledge filtered down, became mainstream, lost its source, but kept its structure. The cryptocurrency space is especially dense with symbolism. Bitcoin's B with 2 vertical lines, resembling $ but also resembling pillars. 2 pillars, Jachin and Boaz. Ethereum's diamond shape, geometric perfection. The blockchain concept itself, distributed trust, decentralized authority, no single master, collaborative truth. These are Masonic principles applied to technology. Whether the creators realized it or not, they built systems reflecting lodge philosophy, transparency, verifiable truth, collective agreement, nodes like brothers, code like ritual. Social media platforms use circles and connection imagery. Facebook's F in a square, containment, order, Instagram's camera outline, square with rounded corners, golden ratio proportions, Pinterest's P with a pin, penetration, marking, claiming. Territory marked with symbols, ideas marked with pins. The metaphor is Masonic, claiming, building, sharing with initiated community, streaming services, Netflix's N-Red passion, entertainment, but also geometric, angular, precise, Hulu's green, growth, nature, but also choice. Multiple pathways, Disney Plus's arch, nostalgia, magic, but also dome, cosmic reach, universal stories, HBO's static logo, interference, signal through noise, finding clarity, finding truth, finding story, enlightenment through narrative. These logos aren't accidents. They're designed intentionally by professionals who studied design, who learned principles, who applied geometry, who understood symbols communicate beyond words. Whether those designers knew they were using Masonic symbolism doesn't matter. The symbols carry meaning regardless of intention. They work on subconscious levels, create trust, create familiarity, create connection. That's why corporations use them. That's why they pay designers. That's why logos matter. The Masonic influence on corporate identity isn't conspiracy. It's historical fact. Design principles originated somewhere. Geometric precision matters. Sacred proportions work. Symbolic communication is powerful. Corporations didn't steal Masonic symbols. They inherited design traditions that incorporated them. The symbols became mainstream, became normal, became invisible through familiarity. But they never stopped being symbols, never stopped carrying meaning, never stopped announcing connections to traditions older than corporations themselves. Look at any major brand logo. See the geometry. Notice the numbers. Count the points. Measure the proportions. The patterns are there, undeniable once you know what to look for. Every product you buy, every service you use, every app you open. Masonic geometry surrounds you, guides you, markets to you. You've been seeing these symbols your entire life. In every store, on every screen, on every product. The most common objects in modern life carry the same symbols that mark temples, that appear on currency, that decorate government buildings. The symbols are everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And now you can't unsee them. Now you know. Now you understand. The hidden language has been revealed, and it's been speaking to you all along.